Hey guys, man, it is good to be with you. I feel bad for the camera guy today because I don't stay in one spot, and this guy, he's gonna be exhausted by the time we're done. And then you guys are way out there, so I'm gonna probably come out there to you because I feel like you're an ocean away. You guys doing okay? How many came by the booth? The booth at the, okay, great, awesome. So some of this, you'll start to understand some of the things we looked at the booth. We're also, I'm just gonna throw it out there at the beginning, we're doing a competition between the three areas. That's shop and offices and what's the other? And pit crew. Wow, I should know that, right? Okay. Those three groups, which, how many are part of the shop? Okay, pit crew, not represented. Office, okay, office. Okay, so we're going to use a percentage formula since the volumes, good to see you, John. I see you there, awesome. Since the volumes are different, we're going to use a percentage, and over the next 6 pieces of the masterclass, those people that attend, we're going to be getting an attendance. The highest percentage group is going to get 2 months of the Inner Armor core training right in your area, where you'll be able to access all the breathing technology and everything at a kiosk. Same stuff we use at the 49ers today. As they start the day, the preseason starting, they'll all be in there breathing and learning how to get their heart working well and getting their brain working. So that's going on. So make sure as we go through the 6 parts, we're going to be starting right now with a general overview of the brain. Does everybody have their brain? Did everybody bring your brain? Anybody forget your brain today? Okay, we got that's nice. The camera guy forgot his brain, okay. We all have our brain, which is actually your greatest asset. But before talking about that, where we're going to spend most of our time today, let's talk about the things that we would like to see different. So I just threw a few things up here. Common behaviors or emotions that people want to change. So I'm going to throw a few up here, and then if I've missed one or two that you think should be up there, let me know, okay? But let's put these 15 up here. Focus, sleep. People like to see their sleep better. Confidence, be more confident. Less anxiety. Mood issues. Be more disciplined. Better memory. I'm getting up there, okay? So I'm kind of wondering, I want my memory to be strong, okay? Maybe some of you want that as well, because you'd hate to do all this work and retire and not have a brain that works, right? So we want the memory to work. Procrastination, productivity. You don't want your procrastination to get better. Let me just point that out. You're trying to get it so that you're not procrastinating as much. Anger or irritability, patience, communication skills, impulse control. Anything else that you think that like people in general, or maybe you, or do, first of all, let's ask this. Do any of these hit any of you out there that you'd like better? You don't have to say which one it is, okay? You don't have to say, but do any of these like, man, I'd really like to be better in that one that Doc just put up there. Anybody got, okay, so you got some things you want to be. Anything that I'm missing that you'd like to be better or you would like to see change? Anything that you'd like to see in your life better or change? Nothing? No, you don't have anything else? Okay. Everything's great. You guys got it all, right? No, there's no other behavior or emotion you'd like to see better or change. Okay. No worries, no problem, but think about it as you go. Actually, we'd like our no worries to get better, right? Okay, so let's start with this. Attention is up there. Let's start with, I want us to reframe. Adam, I'm going to start moving around, so get ready for this, okay? We're going to reframe how we look at this stuff, okay? Because you go into your doctor's office and you got a sleep problem, they're focusing on sleep. And what do they typically do if you've had the sleep problem for a while? Maybe order a sleep study, maybe you wear a CPAP, but what's something else they might do if you got a sleep problem? They might, give you a medicine. Hey, let's get some Lunesta going, let's get some Ambien going, some Trazodone, right? And they're trying to make a chemical change in your brain, but are they teaching you to sleep differently? Because your body was, believe it or not, was made to sleep. You're a human that sleeps at night and awake during the day. So why is that not working? And the fact that that's not working, you guys are familiar with dashboards, right? That means the dashboard, there's a light on it. And if I had a warning light come on, which not sleeping is a warning light, I have that warning light come on and I take it to the shop and the shop says, hey doc, we got it fixed. I'm like, oh great, thanks guys. So I start pulling away and I look down at the dashboard and there's a piece of duct tape over top of the warning light, right? I know you guys don't do that kind of stuff, but could you imagine? Like, would anybody be a little upset about that? Like, I just spent $633.26 and you put a piece of duct tape over the warning light, right? You wouldn't be a happy camper, would you? No. Because what is it that you want the shop or the mechanic to do? What do you want them to do? Fix it. Check the engine means check the engine, right? That's pretty basic. It says it right there, and you put a light over, or put a piece of duct tape over the light. Much of our medicine, unfortunately, today is duct tape medicine. You're not sleeping, but why aren't you sleeping? And is that the first indicator of a blood sugar problem? Is it the first indicator of a potential memory problem? Because you're not getting into REM sleep and you're not forming memories. And you don't want the duct tape to be the final answer. I'm not opposed to medicine, but I am opposed to not looking at the brain. John mentioned I'm a pediatric neuropsychologist originally. I've been doing this for about 32 years. About 20 years ago, started to expand what we do. But initially, a big thing that happens with kids is they go into their doctor's office and in 10 minutes, they get this rare diagnosis because they're impulsive and not focusing. Does anybody know what this rare disorder is called? ADD, right? You ever heard of that disorder? You know, in 1990, it was 1 out of 30 kids that had ADHD. Now it's 1 out of 7. And if you're a low-income male, it's 1 out of 3. Now, how does being a low-income male decrease your neurological potential? I don't know, but that doesn't make sense to me, right? And how did we go? What would you call something that went from 1 in 30 in the population to 1 in 7? You would call that an epidemic, right? We just went through one a few years ago. We would be concerned about that. But what happens is nobody's looking at the brain. The brain is so important to look at, to understand. Before I chemically alter, I need to look at the brain. Does that make sense? You all guys hear me on that? We got to look, and you got to start asking those questions. Well, wait a minute. I get that the last 4 people that came in had a sleep problem got their Ambien, but I'm different than the next guy. Like, what's your name here? Sean, and your name is? Chris. Sean and Chris come in. They both got a sleep problem. He's the 9 o'clock, he's the 9:15. That's about how fast it is. They both walk out the door with their Ambien for their sleep problem. The problem is from the beginning of time until the end of time, that's a long time, there will never be a brain like Sean's. Ever. Ever. Beginning of time, there might be a lot of people called Chris, but there will never be a brain like Chris. Do you get that? You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are unique. You're not just a diagnosis, okay? And one of the things I really want you to take away is how wonderful the human brain is. So when we look at all these behaviors, we get stuck downstream. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot. Downstream, what's going on, right? And we get so focused on downstream because we can adjust things with a Red Bull, okay? We can adjust things with a tall caramel macchiato, right? We can change things with different chemical alterations or with Ritalin or Prozac or whatever. But we're just looking here. We're not looking up here at the brain. Does that make sense to you guys? We need to look at the brain. So you guys are going to learn more over the next 5 to 6 weeks. maybe in the next two times that we meet, about the brain than probably your physician knows. Okay, and we work at medical schools. We run entire classes of med students. I'm not opposed to that. I'm just saying most people aren't understanding the nervous system like you guys are going to understand it. And this relates to everything. This can be your performance. Okay, why do you keep shanking that putt, that 6-foot putt? It's not just hit. I work with a lot of golfers. Anybody ever heard of Bryson DeChambeau? You guys ever heard of him? Okay, so prior to him winning the U.S. Open, we did 6 to 8 months of working on, it's not just putting more, Bryson, right? It's here, right? Anybody that's ever played golf or a sport where you're under pressure, what happens up here? It starts spinning. It's not that you're not focused, right? You get over focused and you make a mistake. It starts upstream. So we're going to look upstream at the brain. So John's going to help me out. John's over here, and he has a little headset on right now, okay? Do you guys see that headset on John? Okay, and what we're going to do here is while that headset's on him, we're going to actually look, and some of you that came by the booth saw this. This is John, okay? Those are his brain waves right here, 23 to 35. These have to do with how he manages stress, okay? Do you see how they're going up and down? They're not just static. So he has moments where they peak and he might be stressed. Like if I'm going to tell, something about John that he doesn't want me to tell you, okay? Like he might get, oh, golly, a little spike there, right? Because the brain reacted to me saying that, right? Now look at this. This is what I want you to see. This lecture is not about all of these things, but you're going to learn about these things. Look at this right here. This is every brain wave at this area of his brain all wrapped into one electrical signal. You guys probably see electrical signals in different things, like with the cars or at home or whatever, but that's an electrical signal that's running in John's brain. Is that cool? Isn't that cool? Like that's running all the time. Do you guys get that? Like that's like all the time, 24/7. From the time he was born until the time he dies, that electrical signal's running in his brain. All of you have that running through your brain, that electrical signal. And the thing about this electrical signal, okay, is there's nobody ever in all of humanity that will have the same signal that John has. It's unique. And inside of there, I can see the different nuances of what can make him better and what contributes to why he might not be sleeping or why he might not be focusing. Does that make sense to you? Okay? That's where I want to look. And when you do a chemical, it adjusts those, but it doesn't fix those patterns. And we're going to talk about how we fix those. But let me ask you this question, okay? Let's try to interact a little bit here, okay? That electrical signal is going on, and I understand if I go over to the light socket there and I test the signal and I would see electricity. Like I would say, okay, I get that. That's coming from some power plant, maybe even right here, right? Coming from some power plant through an electrical grid system, and then it goes into that and I get electricity, right? That's still amazing, but I sort of understand that, right? John isn't plugged into anything, right? Do you see? I mean, I don't think he's got a cord plugged to him, right? John is just sitting over there and his brain has made electrical current. How is John, and what's your name?
Tina.
How is Tina, and your name? Bruce. How are they making electricity right now? How is John making, he's not connected to the dam over there and we're getting hydroelectric. He's making electricity. How is he doing that? How are all of you doing that? Where are you getting the resource from? I understand coal. I don't really understand it all. Coal, nuclear, hydroelectric. But how is he making electrical current? What does he need? What do all of you need to make electricity? What do you need? What's an element you need? What's something you need? Who said, what's that?
Voltage difference?
Voltage differences, but somebody said water, right? You need water, right? What about water and electrical current? Like if a wire's down, we don't want to step in a puddle, right? Because it conducts electrical current. But in a human, I want electrical current being conducted, right? So that's why hydration is really important. But that's actually probably only the third most important thing I need to make energy. What is something else you need to make energy besides water? Who said oxygen? Nice. We need oxygen is actually number one. Because see, I can go without water for a little bit. But how long can I go without oxygen? Not very long, right? In a few minutes, if I took oxygen away from you, you would give up everything you have for one more breath, right? You need food, like right here. We need food to make electrical current, but do I need food constantly? No, I could go for days without food, okay? I can't go that long without water, but oxygen, we're talking minutes. The percentage of energy that you make from oxygen is 85%. What? 85% of the energy that John is making is coming from oxygen. Isn't that amazing? There's only a very small percentage that's actually coming from food. And there's only a small percentage coming from your supplement. But most of it's coming from oxygen. It's cool, right? Coming from oxygen. And then the other thing we need, I said number one is oxygen, number three is water. But number two, I think that's even more important than water. And nobody said it yet. What do we need each day to progress to the next day to keep the electrical current going? We need to do something at night. Sleep. And sleep is so important, but yet many times we can adapt to bad sleep cycles. And the great thing about a human is we can adapt, but the bad thing about a human is that we adapt, okay? And we think that that's normal, but our energy and our behavior and our downstream things are coming from the brain not resting or sleeping correctly. Sleep is so important. 7 days without sleep, and you will go psychotic. You will lose touch with reality. That's why sleep many times is used as a torture method, right? Because it's so traumatic to the body to be deprived of sleep. And an hour here, an hour there, a couple hours here, a couple hours there, you do that week in and week out, and you're actually creating massive damage and inflammation to the body. Okay? One of the main components to issues with our weight is related to sleep. Okay? So 7 days without sleep, I go psychotic. By day 13, you would be dead. Without sleep. Sleep is so magical. Actually, you guys know, you've heard of Roger Federer, right? Probably one of the greatest athletes ever when you look at his run in how many weeks he was number one in the world, went beyond a year, 2 years, 3 years. It was amazing, right? But he says he just can't play tennis if he hasn't gotten 10 hours of sleep. What? And I've seen this over and over again, working with number one in the world in golf, which I've had the opportunity to, working with number one in the world in tennis, MVP of the NBA. Sleep is the superpower. Learning how to sleep. And that's in 2 lectures from now, okay? We're going to talk about sleep. Okay, let's give John a round of applause for letting us use his brain. Huh? Was that pretty cool? Thanks, John. Thanks. Next time it'll be one of you guys, right? Let's go ahead and get back to here. And let's just test. Let's see how we're doing, okay? Number one resource my brain needs for making energy is what? Oxygen. The number 2 is what? Number 3 and 4 is food, okay? Those things, we need to be thinking about that. And we're going to learn a lot about how oxygen works, okay? So we're working upstream. We talked about the power. We're jumping ahead on these slides. Okay, boom, look at us go. There we go. Oh, not him yet. Okay, let's talk about, now it's going to get interesting. You are going to sound brilliant out there when you leave here, okay? Because you're saying, hey, You're pushing me. You're making my autonomic nervous system get into a sympathetic state, and that's causing my HPA axis to release cortisol, and now I'm going to have problems with my heart, okay? So you're going to learn all this stuff is connected, because you need to know that if you're concerned about anything downstream, okay? So we need to learn how the brain works. So we're going to talk about the software system that allows you to manage the energy. We talked about make, now we're talking about manage. Got that? Let's say it together. Ready? Make, manage. We can do that better. Here we go. Ready? Make, manage. Okay, that was weak. Okay, but we can do better. So the way that we manage our energy. So John doesn't use the same amount of energy all the time. Chris doesn't use the same amount of energy all the time. Sean doesn't use the same amount of energy. Justin doesn't use the same amount of energy. John, you people don't use the same amount of energy all the time. You choose, your nervous system chooses how much energy you're going to use at any given moment. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to use it all up at once. And you've had situations happen that you feel like you expended all of your energy at once, right? But you have this software system that says, I'm going to regulate this for you. And it's called your autonomic nervous system. Okay, now we are going to say this one together because this one's really important. So you guys you're going to do it. I know you can, okay? Autonomic nervous system. Let's do it one more time. We got this. Autonomic nervous system. This is so important to your health today and to your health in the future, and who you are as an employee, who you are as a parent, who you are as a spouse, who you are as a person, is understanding how to get your autonomic nervous system in the perfect spot. So what this autonomic nervous system does is so cool, is you got these like 5 things that give you input, and based on those inputs, your nervous system then starts to decide how much energy it's going to use. And it can use a lot of energy and go super, super fast. Or it can use just a little bit of energy and go really, really slow, right? What do you think these 5 things are that give me input from my environment? What are these 5 things called? Ooh, I heard it. I heard the person's not super confident, but they kind of whispered it a little bit. I'm going to encourage you to say it a little bit louder. What are the 5 things that we have? Senses. Boom. What's your name? You've answered a few questions right there. Ed, are you the the super intelligent one in this entire group? Definitely no. But you're killing it, Ed. You keep saying stuff I'm like, Ed's got that, right? Or did you get that from somebody else?
No.
You got that. You got that. Okay. So Ed got the senses. Well, let's help Ed with the senses. Can somebody help Ed? He said it's the 5 senses. He put us in the right category. Somebody give me a sense that we use. Smell. Come on, John. Give it to me, baby. Yes. Okay. You said smell, right? I got one. Somebody give me another one. Touch. Who said touch? Right here, Justin. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Touch. Smell, touch. I got a third one. Somebody got a third one. We got 3. What's the third? Give me another one. Sight. Who said sight? What's your name? Robin, go. Boom. I like it. Okay. So we got smell, touch, sight. We still got 2 more of these. Do we got it in us, guys? We can find them. What are the other 2? Sound. Who said sound? Ed, you can't say it again. What's that think he's doing? He's like, I'm taking all of them from him. No, somebody else has to say it. What is it? Hearing, sound. Give it to me. Okay, sound. And we've left one on the table. What are we missing? Taste. What's your name? I'm coming all the way through. I'm coming through to you. You said it. JB, yes, we met before, man. Good job. Okay, nice. Huh? What was that funny that we met before? Okay, I don't know. Maybe I said something funny. I'm not too sure. Okay, so these... That's JB's favorite sense. Oh! Come on, let's all... We must be a kind group in here, right? Yeah, maybe one of the behaviors was kindness that I want to improve. No, not for JB. Okay, I got you. He did. So taste. So we use these 5 senses, guys. You have these. You have these 5 senses in you, and they're taking information from the environment, right? And it goes to the brain, and the brain has all these neurons and connections in there, right? They're called, these neurons, when you were still inside your mother, you were making 250,000 neurons a minute. 250,000 things a minute of these neurons, to the point that you've made billions and billions. And they form all these connections, and it's estimated that in your brain, in JB's brain, to manage the taste, he has over a quadrillion neurons, more neuronal connections than there are stars in the entire universe in his brain. And that brain is taking those 5 senses, and in 1 second, you do 100,000 chemical reactions. And so these 5 senses in this fantastic thing called the brain, I love this thing. It's the coolest, man. It's the most amazing thing in the universe. This is you. It takes the 5 senses, takes them in, and then it decides how fast I'm going to use the electrical current. Okay? And when it does, we have different things happen. So I need a volunteer. Who's going to come up? Come on, you guys got it. Come on, don't be that way. I need a volunteer. Somebody come up. Oh, not me. I'm too tired. Well, then you should be listening to the lecture. Okay. I'm going to take I think I heard intern. Right? Did I hear intern? What's your name? Braden? Yep. Okay. How's the internship going?
I'm enjoying it.
Good. Everybody being nice to you?
Yeah.
Teaching you stuff? Most of the time. Okay. Come on up, Brandon. Brandon?
Braden.
Braden. Okay. So Braden's going to help me out here. I'm going to put this right here. Now, guys, this is a map. I mean, I know some of you guys are good with your hands, okay? And you make it. But this thing is an unbelievable masterpiece that I've made, okay? It's so good that when I went to put it up, it kept falling down, so I've had to lean it against this, right? I need somebody in the welding area to help me make a better one of these at some point. I'll actually pay you for it. Okay. But Braden, I might do that 4 or 5 times. I'm going to have you come over here. Hold this right here. And don't let it go. Keep it balanced. Okay. So keep it level. Okay. They'll tell you if it's not level. Okay. So that is going to be his nervous system. That's Braden's nervous system. And his nervous system has the ability to tilt down. Give me some room. Let me go down. Okay, tilt down. Or it can tilt up. Okay. And it has the ability to flex. Keep it balanced. Okay. So we have different things that cause us to go into sympathetic, which is fight, flight, fright. So I take my 5 senses, I go over here, and down at the bottom of the stairs, I see this guy, except he's a real live one. Okay? And because I use my senses, I see, I hear, maybe smell. I don't think I taste them, okay? But I use my senses. Because I see this guy, I go into sympathetic, fight, flight, fright. Does that make sense? Fast. And I'm going to take that energy that John's been making, and I'm going to accelerate it forward, and I'm going to go fast. And it's going to make me be able to run from this lion. And this is how it works. Where did my brain go, Braden? I put it someplace. Here it is. It's behind you. Okay. So my brain starts going fast, the electrical current, and then it sends a chemical to this thing called my hypothalamus down here. Okay? You are amazing. Okay. It sends it to the hypothalamus, and then that releases a chemical, something called your pituitary gland, which is right down in there. This is all happening in milliseconds when my 5 senses perceive the lion. And then from there, it goes down to my adrenal glands. That's called the HPA axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal. And all of a sudden, my adrenal glands release what? Who said it? See, you just kind of mumbled it. Just yell it. Are you going after JB and you can't yell it? What does it release?
Adrenaline.
You got adrenaline, baby. Come on, give it to me. Yes. Okay. It releases adrenaline, and adrenaline does something amazing in your body. Okay. It takes every cell that needs 3 channels of sugar to function, And it says, at this moment in time, we're going to take in 9 channels of sugar. That's the sole purpose of the adrenaline, is to make the cells absorb tons of sugar out of your nervous system. So you triple the sugar volume in milliseconds from my 5 senses perceiving and going through the HPA axis, and boom, adrenaline, every cell, top to bottom, takes a ton of sugar in. And why in the heck does my body want me to make a lot of sugar when I see this guy? Why? Come on, you got it. What does sugar give you? Energy. Good, let's go. It gives you energy, right? We could all use maybe a little bit of adrenaline. I don't know. Okay, it gives you energy so I can run from the lion. But that's short-lived because you can't maintain a ton of sugar like that, okay? Now, here's an interesting scenario. Thank you, John. You can go to the next one. Was I clicking forward or something? Let's go to the next one. So you got this lion, and it moves you forward, and it makes the adrenaline go, and now you can run. But you can't run forever, right? So hopefully you get away from the lion. Okay, so that is the fast speed. Then there's something that I should go very slow for so that I can recover. And that happens in a 24-hour day where John's electrical current, his 5 senses say, no lion, I don't see one. I don't hear one. I don't smell one. I don't taste one. I don't touch one. And so then what does his body do during this point where it goes into parasympathetic? It relaxes, and it relaxes to a point eventually that it will sleep. Sleep is the highest level of parasympathetic that we can be in. I used to ask the question in the lecture, what's the highest level that you can go to that you slow down the most, expecting people to say sleep. And I had some guy on the front row, when you die. I'm like, okay, I guess that is pretty slow when you die, but let's, lift up the mood a little bit, right? So, but during the day, I go into sleep mode. So, let's let that go down a little bit like that, Brady. Boom, I go into sleep mode at night. But what happens when I can't sleep? Am I in parasympathetic or am I more in sympathetic? I'm in sympathetic. I've gone faster, right? Now, what's an interesting thing, and I can't sleep now, and I'm wide awake, and you're like, come on, I want to sleep. I've been waiting all day long. I want to do this, but I'm doing this. Do you see that? Okay? And that's because all of a sudden you start making energy that you shouldn't be making. Okay? Well, get this. In the animal kingdom, it is only the 5 senses, but we're a little bit different. We have this big frontal lobe that can override our senses, okay? That can go beyond the situation. Is this clock correct? 12:15, 12:16? Okay. 12:30 is what we do? Okay, great. Sorry, just checking. We have this thing that can override, which is this frontal lobe, which lets us go into the future and lets us go into the past and go into the present all within seconds. Does anybody remember who your 3rd grade teacher was? Anybody remember? Yeah, see, there he is again. This guy is high performer. Ed, who was there's no way you were. I'm totally serious. Really? Were they teaching, like were you in a one-room schoolhouse back then? Or no, I'm joking. No, who?
It was Miss Hunt.
Miss Hunt.
And I remember her because she pulled me up in front of the class and paddled me.
Okay. See, and look what it did. He now answers questions, participates, does a wonderful job, Ed. Let's thank Miss Hunt. Come on, let's thank you, Miss Hunt. Okay. Okay. But get this. I just mentioned 3rd grade. We're all in this room, right? His brain went to the past like that. And that's only a few years ago, I know, okay? But it went to 3rd grade like that. I can't do that to an animal. But a human can. You can go into the past because of your frontal lobe. And where else can you go? Into the future, right? Like things that are created happen, like iPhones and Teslas, and all these things are created because somebody said, what if? And they went into the future. That's what makes us so amazing, is we can go into the past, we can go into the future, we can be in the present, all within milliseconds because we have this huge frontal lobe. Does that make sense to you? A zebra doesn't do that. And there's a great book that if you're a reader or listen to it called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. It's an interesting title, right? Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. Which, if anybody had the right out there to go get an ulcer, don't you think it would be a zebra? Like, he's got this guy all around, and he has to live with this guy. They live in the same, like, neighborhood, right? They pay the same HOA fees, these two guys, right? And they're in the same neighborhood together, and he's got to find a way to survive. And what happens for the zebra is he sees the lion. Now we got it. Brain lights up. Hypothalamus, pituitary gland, adrenal glands pump out adrenaline. He gets the sugar, and now he runs. And if he survives, he went in. What state did he go into when he saw the lion? What state? Sympathetic or parasympathetic? Sympathetic. Sympathetic. He went into sympathetic. But when the chase is over, he doesn't stay in sympathetic. You know what he does? He goes down to the watering hole. Right? And he's down in the water hole with his baby zebras. And he's not sitting there wondering, when's the lion coming again? He's just like back into parasympathetic. And you know what else? He's not worrying about his 401k, is he? He's not worrying about if, Johnny Zebra here is going to make it into, UNC. Like, he's not worrying about that, right? He's not thinking about that, but see, because he can't. The zebra can't. He can only live in the moment. The problem with most of us is we're not living in the moment. Where are we living? In the future and in the past. And in a way, we're doing this. I said it as a creative thing, but we can also do it as a way that creates anxiety, which is what if? What if this happens? Anybody laying in bed at night and you're like, what if? What if about my job? What if about my relationship? What if about my kids? What if about my bank account? What if about my memory? What if, right? And we can create that response, and there's no lion. But we create the exact same sympathetic because we get stuck in our what ifs. I have this hole that I love at the golf course I play at. And it's over this body of water. It's a par 3. It's just a great hole, right? But I tend to have so many issues with this hole, even though I could sit out there and I know that my gap wedge is going to go 102 yards. That might be a little weak for some of you. But I know my gap wedge will always go 102 yards. You could have me do 30 of them and it'll go 102. I come up to this hole and it's 102 to clear the water. Right? I'm sitting there. This thing's 102. I'll put $100, I'll hit 102. But what happens? I start saying, what if? What if? What if? And I go to hit it, and it goes right into the water. That's never happened to any of you. But that wasn't my behavior of swinging, that was my what ifs. And they were making me go into sympathetic. How about my what abouts? My what abouts? What about the thing that happened for poor Ed when he was in 3rd grade and Mrs. Hunt brought him up and spanked him in front of everybody, right? I mean, he's still dealing with this, okay? But that's his what about that he's kind of dragging. I'm joking about that with Ed. But you guys know, I know some of you had some trauma, some loss, some difficulties that you're dragging around with you, and it's not letting you be in the present. And you're interacting with somebody and they're like, is that guy even listening to me? Because your what ifs have you in the future, your what abouts have you in the past. If you go to our website and watch a video that I recently did with Brock Purdy. Do you guys, some of you know who Brock Purdy is, okay? He's a quarterback for the 49ers. And Brock and I are in this interview together, and we're talking about being in the moment and being where your feet are. If anybody's going to have a lot of what ifs, I think an NFL quarterback looking at that line in front of him could have a lot of what ifs, right? He is seeing a lot of lions. And that's the Detroit line. No, that wasn't funny at all, okay? But he's seeing those lions, and it's making him get into sympathetic. But he's learned over time to be right where his feet are and to be present, okay? So let's think about this. Here's the autonomic nervous system, and I want to ask you, think for a second, what are the lions in your life? Okay? Just think about that, and maybe later kind of write those down. What are the lions, the what ifs and the what abouts? See, the problem with this whole cortisol thing, this adrenaline thing, is it's okay if I use it under stress to run from the lion because I'm making adrenaline and I need all that sugar. But if I'm just sitting here, just like you guys, I'm just sitting here, but I'm going, what if? What if? What if? What about? What about? I'm trying to work on something and I can't focus. What if? What about? And my nervous system starts going faster. It doesn't know any different. And it starts taking me into sympathetic, and the same reaction happens. Brain lights up, hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal glands release adrenaline when I'm sitting here, but now I'm not burning off the sugar. And so 3 things happen. The number 1 cause of obesity and weight gain. And where does it happen? Right at the adrenal glands. Is I'm making this response, this sympathetic response, but it's not related to what's in front of me, okay? Second thing that happens is what would happen, what disease do you think you would develop if your body kept asking for sugar, but eventually couldn't keep up with the sugar? What disease would develop in somebody? Boom. Number 1 cause of type 2 diabetes is an overactive sympathetic response that is forcing you to make more adrenaline and demand more sugar because your autonomic nervous system is out of balance. That is the number 1 cause for type 2 diabetes. It's the number 1 cause for obesity. The third thing, it's the number 1 cause for cardiovascular disease. And fourth, number 1 cause of dementia. Those are those 4 together, heavy hitters. And you're telling me, Doc, if I work on my brain and I can balance my autonomic nervous system, I can prevent these things from happening? Absolutely, 100%, I'm telling you that, okay? Now the problem, as we kind of finish up, is most of us, our autonomic nervous system has a ton of tilt to it. You see how this, does anybody know? You guys know this. And Ed cannot answer this question, okay? Don't rely on Ed, okay? Do we promise? Ed's not going to answer this question, okay? This right here that this thing is rocking on, what would we call this? What is this called that the seesaw kind of moves on, this thing in the middle? A pivot or a fulcrum? Pivot and fulcrum are good answers, but I'm going to use fulcrum, okay? So the reason this pivots so much is because the fulcrum is very narrow. There's actually a name, I didn't realize this, you guys probably know this, there's something called a razor edge or a knife fulcrum. And that means it's a very narrow, so the thing can balance real quick, it can pivot real quickly. That's a knife fulcrum, very narrow. We don't want to have a knife fulcrum because what happens is I drive to work, somebody cuts me off, and I tilt, right? Or, somebody ticks me off in the office and, they're just having a bad day. But I go into sympathetic and I tilt and I wonder why I can't sleep at night, right? Or something happens, I check my bank account. Oh my gosh, what if? I tilt. I'm tilting to every little thing that comes along. I'm tilting because my autonomic nervous system is on a razor's edge. And I do this so much that now I can't sleep at night. Or what happens is I do this so much that eventually, lift it up, I crash. And during the middle of the day, I'm so tired. I'm falling asleep while Dr. Royer's lecturing, right? Ooh. So my energy's gone because I used up so much of it, right? And I just react to things. I blow my lid, right? I just react. Knife, fulcrum. What we're going to learn, and we're going to next time we meet, we're going to learn how to change the narrow fulcrum to what's called a wide fulcrum, okay? Where the base becomes wider. What will happen to tilt? I can't change your life. You will experience stress. We do work with all the Liberty athletes at Liberty University. Every one of their athletes come to our kiosk. And the assistant athletic director, we were interviewing him, and he said, you know what we do? Is we purposely put young adults, athletes under stress. We purposely do that. That's the job of sports, is to put you under stress. You guys are under stress. That's part of your job. I cannot take that away from you, okay? I can help you learn not to get in what ifs and what abouts. But the other thing I can do that we're going to work on, and we're going to learn about this next time, okay, is what's our number, I'm going to test you, what's our number one resource for making energy? Oxygen. This is a model of how the lungs work, which we're going to learn about next week. I can learn to change how I'm using oxygen, and it will change how I react to the environment. I can learn, this guy right here is your heart. It's the size of the heart. I can learn how to manage my heart, and it will make my focus. And people could be doing chaos around me, and I am laser focused, laser calm, because I've widened. I can't take the Detroit Lions away from you, right? But I can put you in a situation that you can stay calm and focused, or we can learn that. And then the third thing that builds your fulcrum base is how to manage the brain, which we're going to learn about next time, okay? So a couple things. Questions to ask that I want you to ask yourself is, what are the lions? What are the lions, okay? Am I living in what if, what about? I want you to do this exercise for me, okay? Take a normal moment in your day and say, how much of my time right now is in the present? We have 100%. Am I 30% what if, 30% what about, and 40% here? Where are you? Kind of ask yourself, am I in the moment, or am I in the what ifs and the what abouts, okay? And then I want you to start asking questions about why these things are happening in your life or things that you want to get better. And think of the first place I'm going to look at is my brain, and understand my brain. Last thing, the most amazing thing on this planet is your brain. And even on your worst day, it is still absolutely amazing. It keeps you at 98.6 and you don't even think about it. That is mind-boggling. Your brain is amazing, and your brain can be stronger, okay? So those things, let's thank Braden, okay? Great. And let's finish up with a couple logistics. Couple things as we finish up. One, it was just a pleasure being with you guys, okay? And I'm taking Ed to every lecture I do. Ed, I'm on the plane tomorrow to San Francisco. I got a seat next, you got that when I talk to the players in San Fran, you're coming, okay? Look at you go, you're just too good, okay, thanks. But as we move on, next time we meet in August, just a few weeks away, we're gonna do Reclaim Your Focus, okay? I do need you to scan this QR code so we can register you for what your group is doing so that you can win the 2 months of training to improve your oxygen flow for your area of Joe Gibbs Racing, okay, whichever area you're in. So scan this, answer like 3 or 4 questions, pretty easy, and go from there. The other thing I need is I want to talk about how we're managing oxygen next time. And I don't want to just talk about it theoretically. I want to talk about it about you, okay? So if I could have about 20 people that would give us about 5 minutes at the end over here. We just need to do a 3 or 4 minute exercise with how you're managing oxygen. Your results will be totally anonymous. Nobody will ever see your results. But it's very important for the group to, when I talk about this, it seems so simple about oxygen, but it's very complex. So I really could use 20 to 25 people that will let us look at your oxygen intake through this belt that you're going to put on. Very easy to do. We will give you your results on it, Okay, we just won't give the rest of the group your results. I'll just want to do a scatter graph of where everybody is. So if I could have that at the end, that would be great. And I can't wait to see you in a few weeks. Thanks a lot, guys. This was awesome. Just come on over if you wouldn't mind letting us measure your breathing, okay? You can just grab a seat at any of these chairs. Or you can stay right there. Just need about 20 people. You good, John?